The banker who stole $145 million for a secret life in Macau casinos. He wasn't a gangster. He wasn't a thief. He was a respected banker who arrived at the office every morning in a perfectly tailored suit. Colleagues saw him as polished, professional, and even trustworthy. Yet behind that calm smile, Adrian Lau, 42, senior risk manager at a global investment bank in Hong Kong, was quietly plotting what would become the biggest fraud in the city's history. What makes his story so fascinating is not just the crime itself, but the contradiction in his character. On the surface, he lived an ordinary life filled with board meetings, financial reports, and polite conversations over coffee. But hidden beneath was a dangerous obsession, a risky double life that no one could have predicted. His ability to balance both worlds so convincingly is what drew so many people into his web of deception. In my personal view, Adrian's case reveals something much larger than individual greed. It shows how even the most secure institutions can be vulnerable when blind trust replaces vigilance. Banks often rely too heavily on systems and procedures, forgetting that real threats can come from the inside. To me, that is the most chilling lesson of all, and the reason his story continues to captivate us today. Outwardly, Adrian Lau appeared to live the perfect life. He was a devoted family man, admired by colleagues for his professionalism, and even respected as a mentor by younger bankers just starting their careers. To those around him, he seemed like the type of person who had everything under control. But secretly, he carried an obsession that consumed him. High-stakes baccarat in the glittering casinos of Macau. This wasn't casual entertainment. For Adrian, the tables represented more than just money. They were his battlefield. The thrill wasn't simply about gambling. It was about outsmarting the system, proving to himself that he could bend luck.
In Macau, he was no ordinary gambler. He was treated like royalty. Private jets were arranged to fly him in style. Champagne suites awaited his arrival, and casino managers greeted him by name, as if he were family. To them, Adrian was not just another player. He was a VIP whale, the kind of customer who always bet big and kept the tables buzzing with excitement. Word of his lavish lifestyle quickly spread. Friends and colleagues noticed the sudden upgrades, luxury cars, designer suits, and weekend getaways that most people could only dream about. Yet nobody questioned him too deeply. In the banking world, it wasn't unusual for top executives to enjoy fat bonuses or to profit from clever investments on the side. People simply assumed Adrian had discovered a golden formula for success and was living the dream. From my perspective, this stage of his story highlights how easily appearances can blind us. Wealth and confidence often silence doubts, and people rarely challenge what they do not want to believe. Adrian's rise shows how success, even if suspicious, can be disguised as brilliance. That illusion kept everyone around him in the dark. The fall came swiftly and brutally. What began as thrilling victories at the baccarat tables soon turned into crushing defeats. Adrian Lau's gambling addiction spiraled out of control. Each loss felt heavier than the last, and the debts began to pile up at a terrifying pace. Instead of pulling back, he leaned further in, convinced that one more win would fix everything. But the hole only grew deeper. To cover his mounting losses, Adrian stole even more money. What had started as a calculated scheme slowly became a runaway train. The careful fraudster who once planned every move with precision was now acting out of desperation. Transfers became riskier, patterns sloppier, and the illusion of control began to crack. Ironically, it wasn't years of deception that exposed him. It was a single, suspicious transfer. One transaction triggered an internal audit, and from there, the house of cards began to collapse. From my point of view, this stage of Adrian's story is the most human. It shows how obsession and addiction can destroy even the smartest minds. Greed may start the fire, but desperation fuels the blaze. In the end, the downfall was inevitable. And that's what makes his story both tragic and unforgettable. The exposure was dramatic and unforgiving. Once investigators began digging, the web of deception unraveled with shocking speed. Years of carefully hidden fraud were laid bare, revealing more than $145 million stolen under Adrian Lau's watch. What had seemed impossible to detect suddenly looked obvious in hindsight. The trail of fake transactions, shell companies, and forged reports all connected back to him. His arrest was equally striking. Police arrived at his luxury flat in central Hong Kong, a place that once symbolized success and wealth. Instead of champagne celebrations, the apartment became the scene of his downfall. Neighbors watched in